I don't normally like putting people into boxes or cages. But for this exercise, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So why am I doing this? Why am I putting you in a cage? Well, that's where the animals in a zoo live. I believe that all organizations are like zoos and are made up of staff who communicate a bit like animals. Four animals in particular. And it's important to know that there is no animal better than another. And in order for any business to survive and thrive, for the team to work productively and harmoniously, they will usually need all four. In fact, each of us is a blend of all four animals, and as I said earlier, are capable of accessing all four different styles. But our preferred style is simply the result of our personal choices and our personal preferences. So, what is your preferred style, and what cage do you belong to? To help you pick your cage, I want you to look at the 5 words that have appeared in each cage. And I want you to pick the cage that most matches you. Now, I do know that most people won't fit squarely into any one cage. So you may struggle to put yourself into just one, but you know something? Today it's my game and my rules, so you've got to just pick one cage. So everyone has put themselves in a cage. What is your preferred style and what type of animal are you? If you're in the top left cage, you are our lions. What about the top right cage? You are our monkeys. The bottom left, you are our elephants. And the bottom right cage, you are our dolphins. And it's great that we've got that sorted and you all know what animal you are. And that's the starting point because it's vital that you know what your preferred style is and the impact that it may have on others. Understanding your own behavioral style is so important because the more effective your communication is, the easier it is to build good working relationships and get that sale. So, how do you recognize the different behavioral styles across your team and with your clients and customers? I don't believe that anyone in your workplace or any of your potential clients wear a billboard sign that says, I'm a monkey or I'm a lion. And how do you talk to people whose style is different from yours? How do you recognize the different animals in your zoo? You do it by observing their behavior. When we created our profiles, we based them on 2 different levels of analysis. Level 1 of our analysis is based on their preference for being extrovert or introvert. When we talk about extroversion and introversion, most of us think of that as falling into one of 2 boxes. Would you rather stay at home on a Friday night in your pajamas or go out to the bars with a big group of friends? Would you rather be the center of attention or stay as far away from the spotlight as you can? But the truth is, your personality is not that black and white. Extroversion and introversion is a continuous dimension, a bit like height and weight. There are people who score at the extremes, like very heavy people or very tall people, or people who score very high on the trait of extroversion. But most people fall somewhere in the middle. When we look at extroversion and introversion, we look at it from the perspective of how we think and how we act. So if we look at our 4 animals and how they process their stressful day in the office, when we observe them leaving, they do it in very different ways. The extroverts, which are our lion and our monkeys, they have 2 mobile phones going at the same time. They're roaring down one and they're screeching down the other. They've arranged to meet a colleague for a pint and another one for a coffee, and they're running late for both. But their way of coping with their stressful day is just to get it all out there. On the other hand, the introvert, which is our elephant and our dolphin, they can be observed putting on their coats and buttoning them right to the top, popping in their headphones and averting their eyes as they leave the building, hoping They don't have to speak to anyone until they've had a few hours to process what's just happened. And it's not that either one approach is right or wrong, they're just different. And if we were to summarize the differences between the two, while our lions and monkeys are extroverted, they're talkative, involved, outwardly focused, breadth focused, gregarious, flamboyant, action orientated, and outspoken. And they're also bold in their behavior. Elephants and dolphins, they're introverted. They're much quieter. They're observant. They're inwardly focused, depth focused, intimate, reserved, reflective, thoughtful, and cautious. The second level of our analysis is based on thinking and feeling preferences. And that refers to how we make decisions, either by objective logic or subjective feeling. A person's natural tendency will be towards one or the other. And we can see from this that the lion and the elephants take decisions based on their heads, and the monkey and the dolphin make decisions based on their hearts. When a lion and an elephant make a decision based on their heads, they like to analyze the pros and the cons and then be consistent and logical in deciding which path to take. They try to be impersonal, so they won't let their personal wishes, or indeed other people's wishes, influence them. And the following statements generally apply to the lion and the elephant. I like to look for logical explanations or solutions to most everything. I make decisions with my head, and I want to be fair. I believe telling the truth is more important than being tactful. Sometimes I miss or don't value the people part of a situation. While the monkey and the dolphin have a preference for relying on their feelings and take decisions based on their hearts, where they will place more emphasis on personal concerns and the people involved. They believe that they can make the best decisions by weighing what people care about and the points of view of different people involved in a situation. They like to do whatever will establish or maintain harmony. In their relationships, they appear caring, warm, and tactful. The following statements generally apply to the monkey and the dolphin. I look for what is important to others and express concerns for them. I make decisions with my heart and I want to be compassionate. I believe being tactful is more important than telling the cold truth. Sometimes, though, I miss seeing or communicating the hard truth of a situation. Again, neither one is right or wrong. They are just different in their approach to decision making. Lions and elephants, they're logical, objective, and they decide with their heads. They want truth, they want rationale, they want impersonal, they want it to be critical of others, they want to be thick skinned, not that they want to be, but they actually are, and they are firm with people. Where our monkeys, they decide with their hearts. They don't like conflict. They're passionate about everything that they do. They are driven by their emotions. They're gentle. They're easily hurt. They're empathetic. They're caring of others, and they are warm. So let's go a little bit deeper with all of this. I'm going to look at the 4 animal groups, and I'm going to capture the essence of your preferred style. But before I do that, I want you in your animal style to think about and jot down your thoughts on the following questions. What words or phrases would you typically hear me use? So, for example, if I was a lion, I might say, I needed that yesterday. If I was the elephant, I might say, and when exactly do you need that by? If I was a dolphin, I might ask you how you are. And if I was a monkey, I'll probably ask you, well, what's the crack? What's happening? So I want you to use and capture the phrases or the words that you would typically use. And then I want you to describe and think about and reflect on, what am I like on a good day? And then be really honest and tell me what you're like on a bad day. I also want you to reflect on the value that you add to your team in your animal style. And I also want you again to be honest and reflect on how you might actually hold your team back. And the final question here is, how do I like to be pitched to? So again, I'm going to give you a minute or two to reflect on these 6 questions before we move further forward. So you've all had time to capture some thoughts. Let's start with our monkeys. Monkeys represent a happy-go-lucky type of personality. And you'll typically hear them say things like, "It'll be all right. Trust me." Yeah, right. "Don't worry." And "brilliant." That's fantastic. How will you recognize a monkey? On a good day, you'll recognize a monkey because they are animated, they're friendly. Yes, they will have quite rambling explanations and they are fairly loud, but they're also very casual in their approach. You'll also know you're with a monkey from their body language because they smile a lot and they can often be fairly flamboyant and they can be seen to use expressive gestures. Our monkeys just want to have fun. They are creative and they are highly motivating. They are the ideas people and they can get very enthusiastic about their plans. However, there are a few issues with the monkey. They are known to act first and jump before they look. And on a bad day, they talk a lot, they lack follow through, and they are easily distracted. Your biggest problem with the monkey is their attention span. 15 minutes into a meeting and they've already left the room. If you have a monkey on your team, they do add real value. And the value that they add is their optimism and enthusiasm. They are creative problem solvers. They motivate others towards goals and they are great at generating ideas. And they are also fantastic at negotiating conflict. Their possible limitations when working as part of a team are that they are not that attentive to details. So, inattentive to details, they tend to lose concentration quickly, they are situational listeners, and they like to interrupt. When pitching to a monkey, you need to create a friendly environment. You need to share testimonials from others, ask lots of open ended questions to draw out their opinions. Never eliminate social time when pitching to a monkey. Do not control the conversation by doing all the talking, and certainly do not ignore their ideas. Well, what about our lions? Lions have a dominating type of personality, and they can typically be heard roaring as they say things like, "I just want to get on with my job. What do you want? He does my head in." You will recognize a lion as they come across as strong. They're clear in their communication. They're confident in everything that they do. They move at a fast pace. They're loud and they're forceful. In terms of their body language, they use direct eye contact. You'll see them often pointing their finger and they will lean towards you. They like to be in charge. They are focused and results driven, totally unstoppable in their determination to succeed. But the big problem with the lions is that they can come across as blunt, aggressive, and arrogant as they strive to achieve at any cost. Their worst trait is that they tend to go for the jugular. And if you're one of the other three animals, you feel as if you've just had your throat cut, and that doesn't feel good. If you have lions on the team, the real value that they add is their bottom line organizational skills. They're forward looking. They place value on time, so never be late for a lion. They will also challenge the status quo, and they are innovative. Their possible limitations are that they ignore potential risks, they don't weigh up the pros and cons, they do not consider the opinion of others, and they are often known to overstep authority. And what if you're pitching to a lion? Well, my motto for the lion is be clear, be brief, and be gone. Stick to the business. Focus on business results and outcomes. Don't ramble and waste their time. Don't appear disorganized, and do not be too sociable. So we've got the monkeys and the lions so far. What about our elephants? Well, our elephants are process thinking, systematic problem solvers who can often be overheard saying things like, is that correct? When do you want it by? And I'm thinking about it. On a good day, elephants are comfortable working alone. They are well prepared. They're accurate and thorough in everything that they do, and they are logical in their approach. They can also come across as deliberate and controlled. In terms of their body language, they tend to use few or no hand gestures. Again, direct eye contact, and they are controlled in everything that they do. Elephants are analytical, they're meticulous in everything that they do. They are the perfectionists and come across as controlled. They're very thorough and precise to even the smallest of detail. However, because of their need to collect and analyze data, they may take a little longer to make a decision. They are hard to please, and in fact, they are often described as reserved and indecisive. Do you know someone in the workplace who constantly asks questions? If you have an elephant on your team, the real value that they add is they maintain high standards, they're conscientious and steady, they define and they clarify, they get the information and they test it, they ask all the right questions, and they are task orientated. Their possible limitations are that they are not very flexible, they are hard to please, indecisive, and they don't like to take risks. When pitching to an elephant, you should always outline the pros and cons of your proposal. You should support your ideas with data. You should reassure them that there are no surprises, and you should never refuse to explain detail. Also, never force an elephant to make a quick decision on anything, and never answer any of their questions vaguely. And what about our dolphins? Our warm, supportive dolphins. In the workplace, they can be heard saying things like, anything else I can do? How are you? Or let me do this for you. You will recognize a dolphin because they speak in low tones. There's a warmth to their tone of voice. They're detail orientated. They're soft in their approach, and they're also methodical in everything that they do. In terms of their body language, a bit like the elephant, they use small hand gestures. They're very relaxed and they're not terribly emotional. Dolphins are caring, they're patient, and they're loyal. They like to be part of a team. They are great listeners, and they are the peacemakers. They're the ones that stop the other animals in the zoo killing one another. On the flip side, they have difficulty saying no, which can often lead to people taking advantage of their kindness. They are often resistant to change and struggle to adapt, and they can be very stubborn in their approach. If you have a dolphin on the team, the real value that they add is they're reliable and dependable, they're good listeners, they're patient and empathetic, they're logical thinkers, and they like to develop loyal, long-term relationships. Again, their possible limitations are that they will resist change. They sometimes have difficulty establishing priorities. They're overly sensitive to criticism and they can slow down the action. And what if you're pitching to a dolphin? Well, you've got to provide clarification for the tasks. You've got to be patient in drawing out goals and make sure you present your ideas in a non-threatening way. When meeting with a dolphin, do not rush them straight into business. Do not be overly domineering or demanding, and don't force them into quick responses. In your role, you've got to step out of your preferred selling style and adapt to meet the needs of others. In my role today as one speaker, my role is to get my message across to all of you. How do I do that? Because that's the real challenge. That's the real challenge, to communicate one core message to the 4 different groups of people who will react in 4 different ways. There's only one way you can do that. To do that, you've got to stop thinking in your animal style and you've got to start thinking like a zookeeper.